webinar, Help, I Joined the Chamber, Now What? My name is Crystal Moore. I'm the VP of Professional Development here at ACCE. Today's webinar will be approximately 30 to 45 minutes with Q&A. Feel free to use your chat box to send in your questions. There's also opportunity to provide an audio question if you raise your hand using the panel on the right-hand side of your screen. Once you raise your hand, you'll be called upon to voice your question audibly. Other than that, chat is fine. We have a very good friend of ACCE here today, Kelly Finelli. She's spoken many times for ACCE via webinar, via in person at conventions and seminars. She's a very active member. She's a membership director at the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches in Florida, so she's nice and warm while we're freezing here in the DC area. Kelly, tell us a little bit about yourself and your chamber work.
Okay. Well, first of all, welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us. And thank you, Crystal, for the opportunity and the introduction. I've been involved in the Chamber for probably about 12 years now. I started as a membership salesperson, and I did that for about 5 years. Then I left and went and did some marketing for a financial services company. Came back and did membership sales for another couple of years, and then transitioned into the membership director position. And that was when I really had an opportunity to have some impact on the programming. Before that, I had been a member of my chamber twice with companies that I owned myself, and then also during that interim time when I was working with that financial services company, I had them join the chamber, of course. So I've always had that nice perspective of having been both a member and on staff. So it gave me a lot of insights as to what types of programming I'd like to create for the chamber. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into, well, actually, Crystal, you have some housekeeping things you need, or are you done with those?
Yes, the only thing I would ask of our attendees is to put your phones on mute and not to put us on hold because of the hold music. Again, if you want to send in a question, you can send it via chat. There'll be an opportunity to send in audio questions as well. Other than that, I think you're good to go, Kelly.
Okay, great. Thanks, Crystal. All right, so I named this seminar, Help, I Joined the Chamber, Now What? Because I get phone calls like that, and I know you guys all do too. You know, I joined the chamber, now what should I do? And often they want to sit with you on a one-on-one basis, and that's always nice to do. But sometimes it's great to get them all together at the same time. You can speak to more than one, and they have an opportunity to do some networking while they're there as well. And that's one of the things that I wanted to accomplish with this set of 3 seminars that we're going to talk about here today. The first one is called a business builder, and it's an overview of everything we do in our chamber, top to bottom. It's one of those things that really gives them a game plan of how they're going to get the most out of their chamber membership. Because my work in the chamber, and I'm sure you know as well, if you get them involved in the first 3 months or so, they're very likely to stay involved. If they join the chamber and too much time goes by, other things come up in their lives, it goes to the back burner, they don't get involved, and then when it's time for their renewal, they tend to not renew. So the key is to get them involved as early as you possibly can, and then keep them involved so that they'll remain active members and maybe even refer you their contacts so you can have some new members coming from them as well. Here you can see the invitation for this particular one. This actually started as a sales presentation for prospects. I had a membership salesperson who temporarily lost her driver's license, and we kind of made a deal that if she would get her prospects into the boardroom, I would do a presentation because she wasn't a public speaker person, and that we would keep her membership development life alive while she waited to get her driver's license back. So this really started as something for prospects, but it was so successful that I started to think about involving the members. First of all, we had members who had been involved for a long time but weren't participating in all of the programming. We had members who had been involved for a long time but had new employees coming in, marketing managers, people that needed to learn about the chamber, and I wanted to be sure and get information to them. So it became something where I had prospects as well as chamber membership. our members already. And then it was a nice retention tool for us. It became very successful that way. So then I decided to take it a little step further, and I started including these invitations in the invoices when I mailed them out. We send our invoices out 3 months in advance, so it gave me an opportunity to make sure that I could get them to something. Many of our members have long check request processes, so we need them to have time for that. But also, it gives me an opportunity to get them to a business builder. It's a free event, so it's a nice gift to give them. When they open their invoice, they see a free event, and if I can get them to this, the chances of them renewing are very high. So it's turned into a great asset for us that way. And you can see that this invitation gives them a little information about what we're going to be doing. But I will tell you that the thing that I have found gets their attention the most is at the bottom there of those bullet points where it says receive an information packet including a calendar of events, copies of the Chamber's directories, committee information, and more. They come because they want that packet often. Many of them never received it as part of the sales cycle. So they want it. If they're prospective Chamber members, they're very interested in the directories and seeing them and using them as sales tools. So that offer of that information packet is very useful in getting them to come attend the event. So when I start the event, I introduce myself and I say our Chamber is the oldest professional business organization in Palm Beach County. Each member is either a business owner or an area professional, and we are a regional chamber for the area. Now, I've structured this very purposely, and let me explain what I'm doing here. When I say I'm the oldest professional business organization in Palm Beach County, I'm establishing credibility for our chamber. In Palm Beach County, where I live, there are 14 chambers in the Palm Beach County area. So it's very important that I establish the credibility for my chamber immediately so I can rise above my competition. Then it says each member is either a business owner or area professional. This is qualifying the chamber members. It's a great group of quality business people, and I need to express that as clearly as I can, not only to the prospective chambers that might be, or members that might be in the room, but also to the members who are already there. First of all, to remind them that they're a member of a quality organization and to make sure that they stay involved in that. And then, of course, I slip in the little statement that we're a regional chamber for the area. Again, this is my opportunity to clarify the difference between the chambers in the area and explain our capacity as a regional chamber because we're the only one. And again, that helps me rise above my competition and establishes credibility for me. Now, speaking of credibility, there is an awesome study that was commissioned by ACCE, and I use this study. I actually quote it in the Business Builder. It's very useful for me. It's an excellent piece because it's done by an independent group. You know, we can talk about the chamber until we're blue in the face about how great it is and how much it benefits our members. But it sounds different coming from someone else, especially an independent group like the Shapiro Group. So I highly recommend that you get this quote and this study from ACCE. I have it on my website. I use it in my information packet. I created a QR code for it. I use it a lot. It's an excellent tool, and you need to be sure you use it because it establishes credibility for our industry in general, and it also establishes credibility for yourself in your business community. So you want to be sure that you're using that. Speaking of credibility, we designed for our members a little chamber e-plaque. This is something that goes on their websites that establishes credibility for them. When visitors go to their websites, they see this little chamber logo, and it makes them realize that they're doing business with a quality company. So our members absolutely love it. It reinforces the value of the membership for them. So they want to stay involved to be sure that they keep this on their website. And sometimes it's all that the people who are visiting our member sites need to try before their competition. So it's a great way to help your members establish credibility for their businesses as well as reinforcing that value of the membership and making sure that they stay members and stay involved. So when I talk about chamber benefits in the Business Builder. This is that seminar that I do, by the way, twice a month, every month. And I get probably anywhere between 30 and 40 people at every one. Great program for us. And I start by saying there's two things that chambers do best. The first one is visibility, and the second one is networking. So I start talking about the visibility tools because that's where the chamber members really get to star. So they're very interested in that, of course. And I start off with the chamber website. This is a little picture of our homepage. I love the website because it provides me with a lot of statistics and analytics on the traffic that I can use to reinforce the benefit of belonging to the chamber and their participation in it. It has a community calendar. We have a lot of members, and I'm sure you do too, that have their own events. And our calendar is so full, we could not possibly include all of our members' events on it. So we created this community calendar on the chamber website specifically for the members. It's now the most frequently visited spot on the entire website, which I think is absolutely fabulous, and our members love it. And the community uses it as well. The website has a keyword search, so it's very user-friendly and easy to use, easy for the members to customize that part of it using their keywords and phrases, which they send to us, or they log in directly on the site. And then we have links, of course, between our site and our member site, so they love knowing that all of the visitors to the chamber website can hot link directly to their site as well, and then they have that accessibility to that traffic. The other thing about having a really good website is that it positions your chamber as a leader in the technology field. We need to be sure that we remain relevant, and having good websites is an excellent way to do that. So I start with that visibility element of the website. Then I move to directories. We print a series of directories here in our chamber. We do the Guide to the Palm Beaches, which is our primary one. We do a healthcare guide, a real estate guide, and an education directory. We print roughly 10,000 copies of each of those, and all of the members are listed in all of them. Print products are still very much alive and well in my world. They are very frequently requested. As I mentioned, people come to the Business Builder specifically to get those things. We do have digital versions of them as well, and those are available on the Chamber website and also available for me to forward on to other people. They are excellent tools for us. And what I've done is I've spaced out the publishing timelines of these so that I have one that closes every quarter. And that gives me a great closing tool to drive membership. In fact, I've structured my budget around these, and they're great tools for me. When each of them is released, they're attached to an event. For example, when the Guide to the Palm Beaches is released in January, it debuts at the State of the City address where the mayor speaks. And then 1,000 attendees walk out of our convention center with a copy hot off the press. It's a very anticipated piece for us. It's a great visibility tool for the chamber and most specifically for the members. And the members love to hear that story. And then as each of them come out throughout the year, the other directories, they're all attached to an event as well. And then all of the attendees leave with copies of them at that time too. So the directories are great visibility tools for the chamber and for the members. And them coming out on that regular basis keeps those members involved because they want to see themselves in those directories as they're released. So we talk about the website, we talk about the directories, and then the third visibility tool we discuss is newsletters. We do two, a weekly newsletter called the Chamber Update, and then we do a monthly newsletter called the Business Watch. And you can see it's got a calendar of events, it's got some items of interest. We use this to introduce our trustees, which is our executive level within the chamber. We do a little article about them with their photo, their bio, and their company logo. We put in ribbon cuttings. We list all of our renewals here as well as new members. So this is our way of introducing the new members and then acknowledging those renewals. It gets sent electronically to our entire membership. And then it also appears in our local newspaper, the Palm Beach Post, where it reaches 80,000 households in 23 zip codes. So excellent visibility. The new members love seeing themselves there. This is our way of introducing them to their fellow members as well as to the community. The renewing members love to see themselves listed there as well. So this is another great way to make sure that we're keeping them involved. Okay, so remember I talked about visibility and networking. Those are the two things that we do best. So I talk about that during the Business Builder to make sure they understand that, of course, those visibility tools are great, those things that are working for them even while they're sleeping, the website, the directories, the newsletters, but networking is really key to getting the most out of their membership. And if I can get them involved in some networking opportunities, they're going to see their business grow, and they will remain chamber members. So I talk about this during the Business Builder, how we have, something for everyone. Some are over in the morning, some are over lunch hour, some are in the evening. Some are very large, like the State of the City Address, where we get 1,000 people at the Convention Center. Some are smaller. We just had an Ambassador Happy Hour. We had about 60 people at that. Some of our members are looking for those very large events, and some are more comfortable in a smaller environment. So we have a little bit of everything. The Business Builder is in itself a good networking opportunity. When I finish with my presentation, I tell them that nobody can leave the room until they have at least 2 business cards of people that they're going to meet outside of that event. So that's a great networking opportunity as well. I always have a couple of my ambassadors in the room with me, so they have an opportunity to give their testimonials about what's worked best for them in the chamber, and I coach them a little bit about the elements that we want to highlight. These have been absolutely fantastic events for me, and I've increased my retention level. It's now at about 75%, and I'm anticipating that it will near 80 very, very soon. Great, great tool for us. Now, speaking of testimonials, I am a big believer in testimonials. I collect them for everything. I have a library of testimonials. And here is the one that I use for the Business Builder. And I've picked it very specifically, excuse me, and I'll explain why. Okay, it says, I'm a member of several of the chambers in Palm Beach County, and no chamber has ever hosted an event as informative as yours. Having a personal walkthrough of all the benefits of membership and how to use the opportunities to make the chamber work for you and your business was great. And then followed up with a package of opportunity materials was really the icing on the cake. So why did I pick this? Well, I'm a member of several of the chambers. Okay, I'm rising above my competition right here. No other chamber has hosted an event like this. Again, an opportunity for me to position myself above my competition and the other chambers in the area. It is a review of the chamber benefits, which is great because they need that whether they're just coming into the chamber or they've been a member for years. They need to have that message reinforced over and over again. And then they're leaving with an information packet because remember I said that's one of the things that really attracts them the most, and they all walk out with them. I never get one left on the table, and that tells me that they really want that and it works for them. We also talk a little bit about, committee involvement and things like that. And of course, I have testimonials for all of those as well. Great tool for us. And here is the second seminar that we do. The first one's the Business Builder, and we spoke about that. That's that nice overview of everything we do. This is the second one called To Sell is Not to Sell. And this is a free seminar for members, again, reinforcing that membership benefit, and it teaches them how to market themselves in the chamber and position themselves as consultants versus salespeople. A subtle but profound difference. And it's a second part in the series. So if I can get them to one, both, all 3 of these, they tend to really get very enthusiastic about their participation in the chamber, and they jump right in with both feet. Great seminar. Greta does a wonderful job for us, and it's a good opportunity for our members to really sharpen those sales skills. This is also a place for me to talk about speaking opportunities for our members. Many of them have an expertise that they can share, and they're looking for speaking opportunities. Many of our committee agendas include speakers, and so I can direct them to that. If they're really good and have a compelling message, sometimes they have an opportunity to do a seminar for the members. And then, of course, we have breakfasts and events where we need speakers as part of the agenda for that, for the general membership. So speaking opportunities are great for the members, and they're wonderful for the chamber as well. And that really reinforces that involvement. And if they have an opportunity to be a speaker, they will stay with you forever. They really value that, and it's important to them. And now here's my testimonial for the To Sell is Not to Sell. And you can see this is the only chamber. I really kind of stress that as much as I can. Thank you for the to sell, not to sell. If I could make it a mandatory for every new member, I would. Love that. This is the only Chamber of Commerce that I've been involved with that has a free How to Get the Most Out of Your Chamber membership course. Again, positioning myself above my competition, and it reinforces that involvement and how they need to come to the events to get the most out of their membership. And then this last part, I always look forward to the next step in the process, the free course One-on-One 101. That's my next seminar. So I'm driving that process. I'm continuing that engagement. I do these seminars every month. And if I can get them to go to them 3 months in a row, they're going to be very successful in the chamber. These tools will really help them, and they will stay a member for as long as they're in business, basically. This is the next seminar, the One-on-One 101. And this is really kind of that, you've been to a networking event, you've collected all these cards, what's your next step? Because if you don't help them with that and they're networking but they're not getting much out of it, they're going to lose interest in the chamber quickly. So we need to be sure that we teach them how to do that. So this is, again, a free event for chamber members. I want to encourage them to come. I want to encourage them to get involved, and I want to teach them how to be successful in the chamber. And so this is one of the ways that I do that. And so you can see this particular seminar has a big focus on time management, and I'm a big believer in time management. It's kind of one of my mantras. I want them to understand that chamber membership requires time, and I appreciate the investment that they're making in the chamber, not just in terms of the money when they join, but also in terms of the time, and I'm going to respect that time by teaching them how to get the most out of their participation and get an immediate return on that investment of their time. And they appreciate that. And then I'm teaching them how to turn those business cards into appointments on a calendar, and then how to turn those appointments into business, and then how to track their success. So they have an agenda for their meetings when they set them up, and they're being as productive as possible. And then, of course, I'm going to remind you guys that we all need to take our own advice. You need to be building your membership sales through what we call strategic alliances in my chamber, which is primary referral sources. So, when you do these seminars for your members, don't forget to take your own advice. And you guys need to be, kind of looking at how you can develop your membership through referral sources, and then how you can build in some seminars like this that will teach your members how to really get the most out of it. Here's my one-on-one testimonial. I've attended a multitude of seminars over the years. The relevant points you gave us at the One-on-One 101 to take note of, followed a step-by-step program of how to implement each one, made your presentation one of the most comprehensive and truly user-friendly workshops I have ever attended. Now, I've chosen this one, very specifically for a couple of reasons. Multitude of seminars. Again, I'm positioning myself over my competition of the other chambers in the area, and I'm also letting them know that our seminars are worth their time and that they're going to get a lot out of it. Step-by-step program, that's their way to understand that this is a plan that they can follow, and it will help them with their time management. They're not going to be left swinging in the wind, not knowing what they're doing. User-friendly, I like this phrase because it makes them understand that this is not an intimidating process, that they don't have to come in already knowing everything, that they're going to leave with some useful information, and if they're just starting out in their business or just starting out in their sales career, that's fine. It's a very user-friendly program, and they should not be intimidated no matter where they are in their professional life. I should mention to you also that all 3 of these seminars have sponsors. So that's certainly income to the chamber, which we all need, and we need to be looking for income opportunities for our chamber. And of course also it's a great value for the sponsors themselves. They love sponsoring these seminars. We have a waiting list for them, and it's a way to keep those sponsors involved as well. Speaking of sponsorship, I have a little testimonial about that. And this is from the woman who actually sponsors my Business Builder. And you can see here she says that she sponsored it for 3 years, which is great because that says to the members that it's working for her. She's continued to do it for 3 years, and she loves it. She also mentions that there are new members and people who are not yet members, which is great because some of our chamber members have been there for a long time and they love the idea of meeting people who are not yet members. So whether they're looking for members or looking for people who are not yet members, either way they're going to find that type of contact here. So that part of it is very important. And then, of course, it's just a great testimonial. Jane is a very active member of our chamber, and her name is very recognizable. So it works very nicely. And again, this is an opportunity for them to not hear from me about how great the chamber is, but to hear from one of our members. It's their word for it, and it works. So I use testimonials all over the place. I use them in event blasts. I use them to highlight the hosts, and I get testimonials from them, and then I get them from the sponsors. I put them on websites. I include them in the directories right in the text of the publication, and I put them in newsletters. I actually have a little list called the top 10 reasons to belong to the chamber. I have testimonials to go with each one of those reasons, and I put one in every single month. And then I use a special spotlight for the other 2 months out of the year. But they're great for me. I'm sure they'll work really well for you. If you're not collecting testimonials, you need to. The other thing that they do is that it allows you to highlight your members that are really supporting your chamber. You can reward the ones that really contribute a lot, like your ambassadors or your sponsors. So it's a great opportunity for you to highlight members that you would like to have that additional visibility, and then again, people get to hear what's worked for them. So here's my contact information. If you have any questions, I really encourage you to reach out to me. Please remember that we really exist to serve our members. If we don't do that, they will not renew. So it's important that we communicate to them on a regular basis what the benefit of membership is, and then teach them how to do that. I've been doing these 3 seminars for probably, oh gosh, maybe 5 years now, all 3 of them. They're sort of the cornerstone of chamber participation. They get really good attendance, and our members refer their contacts to them, so they're excellent recruiting tools for me, as well as an opportunity to really drill in that message that membership works, so that we keep those members involved year after year after year. So don't forget, reach out to me if you have any questions, or as you start these programs, if you need a little help along the way. I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can. They've just worked fabulous for me, so I'd love to see you guys work with some of these tools as well. I think we'll kind of stop now and take some questions if Crystal has some. But Crystal, I'd like to thank you very much for your participation in facilitating this webinar today. And of course, thanks to ACCE for the opportunity. I love doing this. It's really fun. And thank you to all of you who tuned in today to listen. And I'm really anxious to hear what your questions are.
Oh, thank you, Kelly, and it was my pleasure. We do have a few questions. The first one asks, you send your membership invoices 3 months in advance. How has that worked for you?
It's worked really well. As I said, some of our members have a long check request process, and so it gives them time to do that. It also gives them time to come to these events, because I have found, and I've tracked it from my, my aging list and my drop list, the reports that I produce. If I can get them to one of these events, the likelihood of them renewing is very high. What also happens sometimes is they'll join the chamber, then they hire a new marketing director, and the marketing director has never been to anything and doesn't really even know what we do, but they're the one who has to sign off on the renewal. So if I can get them to one, it helps a lot. And when I first started sending them 3 months in advance, I kind of expected a little pushback possibly, and I never got it. So consider that. It's worked really well for us.
Okay. And the next question is, are you also a Visitors Bureau?
Actually, that's a great question. In our area, the Visitor and Convention Bureau is a completely separate organization. We also have an economic development organization called the Business Development Board. So we're all three separate organizations. And in fact, in some ways, we're even competing organizations because they're all membership organizations. So not only do I have 14 chambers of commerce in my backyard, I also have the CBB and the BDB, the Business Development Board, all competing for those same members. So we work together on a lot of things, but we're very separate organizations in Palm Beach County. I know that's not the case everywhere, but that's just the way it is in my universe.
Okay, can you explain your Ambassador Happy Hour?
Oh, certainly. This is a program that I started really because I have a very active ambassador committee, and I could actually do a whole webinar on ambassador committees. They are fabulous. They help me recruit new members. They make calls to members as they join to welcome them in and to make sure we're getting them to these seminars. They're very active, and they do a lot of work for me. I'm very demanding of them. So I decided that I would throw a free event for them. I got one of my member restaurants to give me the room and a couple of drinks and some hors d'oeuvres, and I thought, I'll just throw a party for them to thank them. And they all came, and we had a great time, and it was a big success. And then I thought, wait a minute. How about if I invite my prospects? Then I can put my prospects in the same room with my very active, fantastic ambassadors, and I can just sit back and let the ambassadors do their thing, and that has turned into one of my most powerful prospecting tools. If I can get my prospects into the room with the ambassadors, they will sell the whole program for me. I don't even have to open my mouth. And again, then the prospects get to hear from the members, from the ambassadors, about what works best for them. They're not hearing it from me. They're hearing it from a member. It's a totally different message. It's been a fantastically successful program for me.
Okay. Could you email the flyers that you use for those events, and what software do you use to create them?
Certainly, I'd be happy to. And the software program would really be for my communications director, Jennifer, and she just walked out the door. But I will follow up with you and let you know what that is. And they're great. They're great little pieces for me. We just change out the dates, when the months change. And I put some of those invitations, those flyers in, all kinds of things. I take them with me to all the events. My ambassadors have them. They're great little pieces for me. They give a lot of information as well as a response area, so they've worked very nicely.
Okay. What is your sponsor level cost?
Great question. We started out with them fairly small. They were about $500, and they did really well. They're now at about $1,000 each, and I foresee possibly increasing that depending on, if they continue to do well. I seat about 50 people in my boardroom, and when I get to the point where I need to move them to another venue, then that will certainly change the dynamics of it as well. But they do really well. As I said, the Business Builder, somewhere between average probably about 30, 35, maybe 40. The one-on-one 101 consistently fills the room. That tends to be the most popular one. The to sell is not to sell is also very popular. So I think when we jump to a larger venue, then we'll increase that sponsorship as well. But it was kind of a surprise. Again, I just started these to make sure that the members were getting the most out of their membership. They did really well. One of the members approached me about sponsorship for the Business Builder, Jane. And so I was like, of course you can sponsor it. And I actually do the Business Builder twice a month, and I get a good attendance every time. It's primarily, a membership engagement tool, but also a great recruiting tool. My closing ratios at the Business Builder are about 95%. If I can get a prospect to one, they almost always join. So, great tools for us.
What is your strategy in getting testimonials? Do you target certain people, or do you ask everyone?
I do both. I do target certain people, especially members that I want to reward. I use my ambassadors a lot, particularly if I'm introducing a new product or service. They're kind of my focus group. So when I introduce a new thing, I start with them first, and then I ask them for their opinions. And if they're good, which they usually are, thank goodness, then I ask them if they would just craft that message into a testimonial for me. But I also just ask the members in general because I want to be fair, and I want to be sure, and including some of my, regular street on the feet kind of members in the testimonials as well. So I'm very careful to balance it, but it is a great opportunity for me to reward my ambassadors because they do so much for me.
Have you posted any of the seminars you spoke of on YouTube?
That's a great question. Yes and no. I am getting ready to do a series of videos, and if you'll go to my email, you can send me an email, or if you go to the website, you'll see a couple of videos that I've done already. One is specifically on my trustee program, and the other one is a general sort of membership of, join, why shouldn't you join kind of thing. I've not done videos on the specific seminars, and that's on my list of things to do. Those will be one of the things that I do next. And then I will definitely be promoting them on YouTube.
How many members do you have, and what is your retention rate?
Okay. I have about 1,300 members. My retention rate is about 75%, up from, I'm trying to think what it was. I think it was like just in the very high 60s a couple years ago. I don't track it as carefully as I should, I'll be honest with you. It's now at about 75%, and I'm going to be tracking it a little more carefully now because now I'm on a mission. I want to get it to 80, and then, of course, I'll want it to be 90, I'm sure. But, we've all just lived through a very difficult moment in time where the universe kind of fell apart and the whole business world suffered greatly. And I know many of you had the same problem I did. A lot of my members simply went out of business. So it was retention rates were a tough discussion. But now that the universe is waking up a little bit and people are having more success staying in business and then having the courage to start new businesses, I think we're all going to see some increase in our retention rates, especially if we can be really aggressive about making sure that our members are successful when they get here.
Okay. And so how big is your staff, the chamber staff?
Oh, tiny. I wish it was bigger. It's shrunk quite a bit over the past couple of years, and I'm sure yours did too. We have about 6, a staff of about 6.
Okay. Do you have a printed newsletter or only digital versions?
We have a printed one. Yeah, it's called the Business Watch. We send it out digitally via email to our entire membership. They're archived on the website, and then it's printed in the Palm Beach Post. It's actually inserted. So we have that printed version that we have here in the chamber. I also use them in all the information packets and sales packets that I use. There's a lot of discussion in the world about, printed versus digital. And although I think there's a big value in digital publications, they're certainly easy to produce and easy to share and forward. I do still see a lot of value in those printed materials. When I'm working with a prospect and I tell them that this printed format of the Business Watch goes into the Palm Beach Post and reaches 80,000 households in 23 zip codes, and they're going to be listed there as a new member, they love that. Great closing tool for me, and I use those print deadlines as closing tools and calls to action as well, just as I do my printed directories.
Okay. Do you focus the 3 programs on newer members, or do you invite all members to attend?
That's also a great question. I invite all members. I really do. I focus on the new members because I want to get them involved. Again, if we can get them involved in the first 3 months or so and they start to see that immediate return on their investment in terms of the money that they've invested, but also in terms of their time. I always tell people time is your single most valuable finite asset, so you have to make sure you get a return on that. And if I can give them that immediately, then they will stay members, and they'll stay involved, which is what I need. But I also want those long-time members to come as well. Like I said, maybe they've hired a new marketing manager who's not familiar with our chamber, and I need that person to come. So I absolutely invite any chamber member, and they go out in we send a email every Monday called Save Your Seat. It's a list of all the upcoming events with little click-through registrations. So I see members come who have just joined. I see members come who have, been a member since the 1950s, and they want to plug back in, or maybe they have a new sales initiative, or they have something new and exciting in their businesses that they want to highlight, a new location, so that they're looking to the Chamber to help them with whatever that agenda is for them.
Okay. What time of day are the Business Builder events?
Oh, this is a great question. I do them in the morning. They start at 8:30 and they go till about 9:45. A lot of the members stay around to do some networking, so they run longer than that. I did at one point do them over a lunch hour, but I have found personally that people get really sleepy over lunch hours. They start off great, they eat their lunch, and then about 15 minutes later you can just see them sort of start to fade. So it's my experience personally that seminars tend to do better in the morning when people are drinking coffee and a little more alert. Lunches are a little bit more of a challenge. And I will tell you one other thing that I learned kind of along this same route. I actually learned most of my most important things by what I don't do well the first time around. I learned more from my mistakes than anything else, I think. When I first started doing the Business Builders, I gave them that information packet when they walked in the door. And then they spent a lot of time looking through the packet, going through the directories, looking at the pictures, looking for their listings in the back, and not really paying any attention to what I was saying. So now I tell them in the beginning, you're going to get an information packet when I finish, and it looks like this. I hold it up, and I literally walk through it as my presentation, so that later on when they open it, they'll be able to remember what I said based on the pieces that they're looking at. And then I tell them, when you walk out the door, you're all going to get one of these. It will become your toolbox to remind you of everything the Chamber offers to be sure you're taking advantage of it. But I do not give it to them until the end so that they're actually listening to me rather than playing with the packet.
Okay. Let's see. We have a lot of questions about your ambassador program. So what we will do, Kelly, is we will do a webinar on your ambassador program because there's a lot of questions about that.
That would be great. It's a terrific program.
Do you do a membership blitz as well as these seminars? And another question is, do you do total resource campaigns?
Great questions. We have not done a total resource campaign. We've been really fortunate in that we have met and exceeded our membership goals every year since I've been the membership director. So we haven't really done that. And I'm not a huge fan of campaigns because I think sometimes what happens is they join because they were kind of invited or pressured or whatever by somebody that they know, and then when renewal time comes around, that person's not there to reinforce that message, and then they tend to drop. I think that if you have a really excellent company helping you with a resource campaign, they tend to be much more successful. I have done some sort of mini versions of that using specifically my ambassador committee, and that's worked fairly well, and I would certainly consider doing that again. But I've just been really fortunate, I think in particularly because of these seminars, that I've managed to meet my, my goals every year, and I've not had to do too much in the way of membership campaigns or total resource campaigns. But I do think they have their place as well.
Okay. We have members that want to facilitate seminars, and they have great content. However, we need to get sponsorship to cover costs, and it may take longer than the member has time to wait. What next?
Okay, well, I can think of two things. First of all, ask the member who wants to do the seminar if they have a suggestion for the sponsor. Because sometimes they have a client or a vendor or some relationship that you don't have that would be willing to sponsor. So that's an easy thing to try first because they may have a relationship that you don't have access to. Beyond that, I would consider the content of the seminar. Think about the message that they're trying to drive home. and who is looking for that same type of content. So in other words, if I'm doing a seminar on, finances, financial services kind of seminar, I might look for a mortgage company to be my sponsor because they're not competitors, but they're looking for the same clients. So I would look for a member like that. And then the thing you want to do, too, when you're talking to a sponsor of any kind is be sure that you're really clear as to what the seminar is going to contain. You want to provide them with an outline of the seminar so they can see exactly what it is. You want to give them a bio on the speaker so they know who's speaking. And then you want to give them a copy of whatever the handout is going to be. And I really believe that any seminar should have some type of handout that they walk out the door with. So you want to give your potential sponsor a copy of that as well. And then you want to show them where they're going to appear. Your company logo is going to appear here on the invitation. You're going to be mentioned as a sponsor in the article that we write about it in our website, newsletter, whatever. And then you're going to appear, your logo will be here in the takeout that the attendees will all leave with. So the more value you can create in those types of things that are tangible, the more likely the sponsor is going to be to participate.
Do you use your social media presence as a tool to retain or appreciate members?
Oh, that's a great and very timely question. We've actually been pretty active in social media, particularly in terms of getting seminars for our members. We have members who use digital media really, really badly, and they need tons of help. We have some who don't do it at all because they just can't wrap their brain around it. They obviously need help. And then we have some that really do it fairly well. So we've had a series of seminars. We did one on Facebook because I see a lot of people making some very stupid mistakes on Facebook that hurt their business development and their professional careers. We did one on LinkedIn because, in my opinion, that's really the tool for business. And we've done them on social media etiquette. We did one with an attorney on legalities and how to make sure that you're protecting yourself from potential legal issues in social media. But I am getting ready personally to launch a big LinkedIn campaign. I have a LinkedIn page, and please go check it out. And then I just finished creating a company page for the Chamber. It's just in its infancy. It really just went live yesterday, so go check it out. And then I'm going to be rolling out a program to involve the members, both in terms of using LinkedIn as a tool for my chamber, but also really to teach them how to use it. And I decided rather than just telling them, I would show them by doing it with my chamber LinkedIn presence. So I'm going to be enhancing that greatly. That's one of my big projects for the final quarter of this year, and then it's going to be a huge focus for me in 2014. So that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. And I'm very excited. I'll tell you honestly, we're all so busy. I know you guys have the same thing I do. It's a busy, busy life. And I had a member who kept telling me, you need to get involved in LinkedIn. And I was like, yeah. When will I do that? And so finally, she dragged me kicking and screaming into LinkedIn. And I was really surprised at how effective it was. I just had an ambassador committee meeting yesterday, and I rolled out some of this program for them. And they're going to be my focus group and the people that I start with. And I have a whole plan of how I'm going to use them to drive this presence. But I have a feeling that this is going to be much more impactful than I would have ever realized, particularly once I involve my ambassadors. So ask me that same question in 3 months and see what I have to say then.
Okay, and then when you invite people to the seminars, you do it via email or on the renewal notices, and then how are they registered? Do you have a registration software in your database?
Good question. Yes, and yes. Yes, I invite them. As I said, I put the invitations, particularly to the Business Builder, right in the invoices, and that has been a fabulous tool for me. I bring the event flyers to all of the events. I use my ambassador committee to drive those as well. So the invitations are open to members and non-members, and I put them in as many places as I can find. And yes, they can RSVP directly to me. I always encourage them to do that because, sometimes it's easy to shoot Kelly Finelli a quick little email if they have to go to the website and everything else. If they put it aside for a moment, they may not do it. So I certainly allow them to, to RSVP directly to me. They all have links. So when the newsletter goes out via email and the calendar of events is coming up, there's a link there. When we send the Save Your Seat on Monday morning with that list of all the upcoming events, there's a link there. We use Chambermaster as our, as our database management, and then that helps us with that as well. So I try to make it easy for them. Some of our members are very tech savvy and they really prefer to do it that way, so I want that to be as seamless as possible. But some of them are not so much, and it's easier for them to shoot me an email or just pick up the phone and call and say, I'm coming. So I try to make it as easy as I possibly can, and in whatever format's going to work best for them.
Okay, and I think our last question will be, with your programs, do you see many young professionals attending versus older seasoned business people?
Good question. Both. However, I will tell you that about 5 years ago, I started a young professionals group. There was a big focus at ACCE. Crystal, I don't know if you remember what year that was, but
the social media was in Raleigh.
Okay, and then a couple years before that, there was a big focus on young professionals. I don't remember which year it was, but I came away from that thinking, oh, by the way, if you guys don't go to the ACCE conference, you are missing out. You have to go. Both an idea and also that little, kick in the pants that I need to make sure I'm actually doing it. And I came out of ACCE 1 year with the with a mission to create a young professionals group. And we did, and it has been very successful. Intimidating to walk into a ballroom with 200 strangers when you're in your 20s. It really is. And so the young professionals have an opportunity to network together in a smaller group, and then when they walk into that general membership event with a couple hundred strangers in a ballroom, they'll see some familiar faces. We also give them seminars on how to network and how to start to grow their professional life to give them a little more confidence. But those of you who are in your 20s, God bless you, and I'm proud of you for getting involved in the chamber world because it's a great place to really grow to grow professionally. But you have to remember that it's scary for the members. It's scary for them no matter what age they are. Some of them are born networkers and some of them are not, and you have to help them as much as you can. But if they're in their 20s, it's doubly frightening. So I think that getting them to these seminars like we talked about here today to give them some confidence and some tools is very helpful. And then if you have a young professionals group that they can kind of start in, I think that works really well too. So if you don't have one in your chamber, please consider creating one, and ACCE has a lot of information on how to do that, and they can really help you with that as well.
Okay. Well, Kelly, that's it for all of our questions. Thank you again for this wonderful webinar. The materials from this webinar and the recording will be available in a few days. Stay tuned to acce.org in our store. The webinar is free to members. If you have any questions, you can email me at cmore@acce.org. CMORE, and Kelly's information is still on the screen if you want to jot that down. Again, Kelly, thank you so much, and we look forward to the next webinar.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Crystal. You guys all have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.